Everything you think you know about Sun Tzu is wrong. Sun Tzu wasn't teaching generals how to fight. He was teaching states how not to go bankrupt.
Wars aren't lost on the battlefield. They're lost when the bill arrives. Sun Tzu figured that out 2,500 years ago. Sun Tzu wasn't a warrior chasing glory. He was an accountant of power, obsessed with cost, efficiency, and survival.
People think this line is poetic. It's not. It's a warning about cost, debt, and national collapse.
Modern wars, modern debt, same mistake. Sun Tzu explained why empires collapse quickly, and leaders still ignore it.
Sun Tzu is quoted everywhere, but rarely understood. Modern culture treats Sun Tzu as a philosopher of victory.
Sun Tzu feared not defeat, but the cost of winning.
A battle won could still bankrupt a state.
For Padian. The enemy Sun Tzu feared most was financial exhaustion.
Sun Tzu saw war as a liability, not a passion.
Sun Tzu didn't teach warheadae, he taught restraint. To understand Sun Tzu, we must follow the money.
States don't fall from defeat. They fall from debt. People think the art of war teaches fighting. It doesn't. It's about how to avoid the damage fighting causes. That distinction changes everything. People think the art of war teaches fighting. It doesn't. The art of war isn't about how to fight. It's about how to avoid the damage fighting causes.
Sun Tzu knew a state could win a battle and still lose its future.
For Sun Tzu, the enemy wasn't the army ahead. It was collapse behind. Sun Tzu treated war like debt, dangerous if unmanaged.
The smartest move was often not to fight at all.
Sun Tzu's strategy was about survival, not spectacle. And to understand that, we must look at the world he lived in.
Sun Tzu lived in a world that never stopped fighting. Armies grew larger every decade, demanding more food, metal, and labor.
Every soldier marching was a farmer no longer producing food.
States weren't just fighting enemies for touring. They were bleeding themselves dry. Each campaign was a loan taken against the future of the state.
War became a stress test, and the system could not survive forever.
This was the crisis that shaped Sun Tzu's thinking.
Before a single sword was raised, the cost had already begun. The moment an army moved, the meter started running.
Armies required food, metal, labor, animals, glory, and constant payment.
A campaign lasting months could bankrupt smaller states. To fund war, states drained their own populations.
Warfare scaled faster than economies could support it. Sun Tzu saw war as an economic crisis disguised as combat.
Most rulers thought the enemy was their greatest danger.
Sun Tzu believed the real threat came from within India.
Uncontrolled states won battles while quietly destroying their own foundations.
Economic strain turned victory into rebellion.
Leaders mistook applause for stability.
War spending accelerated faster than recovery ever could.
This is where Sun Tzu's thinking truly diverged from everyone else.
States didn't fall to invasion tide. They collapsed under cost.
Sun Tzu began with a warning, not a tactic.
When Sun Tzu said war was vital to the state,
Sun Tzu treated war like fire and qi, useful only when tightly controlled.
left unchecked, war consumes everything that sustains the state. Strategy existed to limit damage, not maximize destruction. Every campaign required calculation, not passion. War mismanaged didn't weaken enemies' will, it erased states. From the very first line, Sun Tzu focused on limiting cost.
Sun Tzu evaluated war the way modern states evaluate risk.
Every strategic choice appeared on a balance sheet, whether rulers saw it or not. Distance multiplied cost faster than combat ever could. The longer a campaign lasted, the more fragile the state became. Efficiency saved resources long before it saved lives.
Unchecked exposure turns strength into vulnerability.
This principle would define every strategy that followed. Sun Tzu preferred information over armies. One well-placed spy could save an entire campaign.
Marching blind wasted time, supplies, and lives.
Speed shortened campaigns and preserved resources.
Fear and uncertainty cost less than swords. Shorter wars meant smaller bills. Sun Tzu chose the cheapest path to victory. Most generals planned battles. Sun Tzu planned supply. Sun Tzu understood that logistics were strategy. Without supply, nothing moves. Every mile from home multiplied cost and reduced efficiency. Moving supplies drained the treasury faster than paying soldiers.
Sun Tzu urged states to fight on enemy resources whenever possible.
Logistics failure began at home, not the front. Wasteful logistics defeated states faster than enemies. This was strategy, stripped of romance and illusion.
Distance didn't just slow armies, Jay, it multiplied cost.
Sun Tzu treated distance as a financial variable, not a tactical inconvenience.
Every mile had a price.
Moving supplies destroyed value before a battle ever began. Every day in the field drained the treasury further.
Long campaigns converted strength into fragility. Waste compounded cost faster than defeat.
The state eroded slowly, then suddenly.
Sun Tzu designed strategy to shorten distance and time.
Every battle closes cheaper options forever.
Sun Tzu framed strategy around what a state gave up, not just what it gained. Choice was expense.
Diplomacy vanished the moment swords were raised.
Combat forced states into ever costlier commitments.
Once war began, retreat grew expensive and humiliating.
Each engagement raised the minimum cost of exit.
Momentum replaced choice, and cost replaced strategy.
Sun Tzu designed strategy to preserve options, not eliminate them. Personal ambition shifted cost onto the state.
Sun Tzu distrusted generals who chased glory. To Sun Tzu, glory-driven commanders were financial liabilities. Honor didn't pay the bill.
The state paid for individual ego. Recognition came with long-term financial damage.
Citizens absorbed the cost of leadership pride.
Citizens absorbed the cost of leadership pride.
Sun Tzu valued restraint over recognition. History confirmed what Sun Tzu warned about. Many states didn't fall to enemies' melee. They collapsed under economic strain. Prolonged sieges destroyed treasuries long before walls fell. Even successful conquests produced economic wastelands. Victors inherited broken economies, not prosperity.
Conquest that destroys productivity is asset liquidation.
Economic collapse bred rebellion faster than invasion.
History validated Sun Tzu's financial logic.
Some states learned the lesson. Others vanished.
States that treated war as a financial instrument survived longer.
Economics decided survival.
Intelligence fractured enemies before armies ever marched.
Quick resolutions preserved both resources and legitimacy. Restraint preserved future options. Stability became a competitive advantage. Stability became a competitive advantage. Sun Tzu measured success in endurance, not conquest.
Sun Tzu wasn't guessing. He was observing collapse. Again and again, states collapsed not from defeat, but from financial exhaustion.
Military power could not compensate for economic failure. Collapse began long before the final battle.
The bill always arrived after the applause ended. Winning delayed failure a pie. It didn't prevent it.
Collapse was structural, not accidental.
Sun Tzu didn't predict history. He explained it.
Prolonged conflict drains modern states the same way it drained ancient ones.
Modern wars repeat the same financial mistakes.
Technology changed. The economic logic of war did not.
The cost still decides outcomes.
Wars fail when their economic model collapses.
Economic strain turned foreign wars into domestic crises.
Debt replaced defeat as the true measure of loss.
The pattern survived centuries. Sun Tzu's warning never expired.
Modern power still operates inside Sun Tzu's logic. Modern states avoid direct conflict not out of morality, but affordability.
Proxy conflicts limit exposure while applying pressure.
Economic pressure replaced armies as the first strike.
Cyberwar achieves impact without traditional occupation.
Indirect tools deliver influence at a fraction of the cost.
Sustainable power avoids expensive confrontation.
Sun Tzu's ideas survived because they saved money.
Winning without fighting wasn't philosophy, Pig, it was budgeting. Sun Tzu's most famous line was about preserving capital, not
Bloodless outcomes preserved productivity and stability. Fighting created bills that lasted decades.
The cost of war outlived the war itself.
Avoiding war kept economies functioning. Solvency defined victory more than territory. This was victory without insolvency. Sun Tzu redefined what real power looks like. Power had a balance sheet. For strength came from resilient economies absorbed conflict without breaking. The fastest recovery often defeated the strongest army.
Raw force without resilience shattered easily.
Endurance proved more decisive than aggression.
Stability itself became strategic power.
Sun Tzu's strongest weapon was resilience.
Sun Tzu's final lesson wasn't about war, it was about survival. To Sun Tzu, victory meant avoiding national bankruptcy, a map.
States don't fail because they lose battles, then counter. They fail because they run out of capital.
The cost of conflict outlived the conflict itself.
Pride delayed the bill. It never canceled it.
The best war is the one that leaves the economy intact. Sun Tzu's math never expired. History doesn't repeat hang, but if you ignore it, it still charges interest.